Welcome to the Bitcoin.com weekly news update for August 20th, 2021. My name is Michael Burry, and on this week's show, we're looking at the US's withdrawal from Afghanistan. It definitely has the crypto community talking about all things Bitcoin, gold, Vietnam, and some crazy takes on how cryptocurrency might have helped change the outcome in Afghanistan. But first, if this is your first time watching the weekly news update or your first time on this channel, make sure you hit that red button that says subscribe. We dissect and jump into the latest and greatest news stories from each week, and you're really going to miss out on some amazing content. So make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification as well so you don't miss any videos. Also, this week we are doing a giveaway for the top comment. So post a comment, attach and paste your Bitcoin Cash address, and you may win some Bitcoin Cash. I think we're giving $20 away to the top comment. Again, get involved. We love to hear your views, and I personally spend some time going through each of your comments, and I take great pleasure in reading some of the funny comments you guys leave. So don't forget to do that as well. But enough about that. Let's jump into this week's stories. It's been another turbulent, exciting week in all things cryptocurrency. So the first story we're looking at is Afghan central bank, $10 billion confiscated by the US and allies. Wood versus Burry, a battle of the minds. Who's right about the equity market? Another battle of big names, Musk and Cuban here talking about Dogecoin being the strongest crypto for payments. Not sure I agree with them, but we'll dive more into that later. And finally, some really positive news for DEX Aggregator 1inch to utilize Ethereum scaling solution. So if you just want to jump ahead and dive into any of those stories, feel free. The chapters and timestamps are there. If any of those are particularly interesting, just skip ahead. Finally, before we dive into the stories, please hit that thumbs up button. It really helps us out. If you want to spread the word on Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, the utility of cryptocurrencies that we're really passionate about, please hit that thumbs up button. It takes you less than a second to do, and it really helps us out. It's going to help us get recommended to more people and grow this show. So let's jump in now to our first story. Okay, let's talk about Afghanistan now. Obviously, very sad to hear about what happened in Afghanistan. The Taliban have taken over the country. The US have withdrawn all their troops. They've been there for 20 years. 20 years that the US military has had presence in Afghanistan. The first invasion happened in September, I believe September 11, 2001. So just under 20 years, and it's just tremendously sad what's happened with this. Everyone's had an opinion about it. We've seen some crazy videos and pictures. I'll try and throw some up on the screen of exactly what happened at the airport. You know, people were like hanging onto aircraft and like absolute rammed aircraft, like people desperately trying to leave. I don't blame them. Obviously the country's been in turmoil for so long, and now it's finally like, it feels like crumbled. So that's why we're going with this story as our lead story, because it's just tremendous. This is world news here. And it's very similar to the situation that happened in Vietnam 55 years ago. And around that time as well, something that we'll talk about if we're talking about Bitcoin and financial warfare and inflation, is the divorcing of the US dollar from the gold standard. And that was Richard Nixon in 1971. So our editor Graham here has found a fantastic picture to illustrate exactly that, you know, the Taliban's takeover of Kabul and the US's exit. And you've got one picture from Vietnam in 1975, the helicopter leaving the embassy in Saigon. And on the other side, you've got the picture of the US diplomats leaving the embassy from Kabul. So very sad to see that both Vietnam and Afghanistan have lost both American and Vietnamese and Afghanistanis lives. Like millions of people have been affected by this. So this is tremendously sad. So what does this have to do with Bitcoin? Well, if you think about it, think about the US dollar being diverging away from the gold standard in 1971. Ever since that moment, there's been endless amounts of inflation and printing money, and that money has gone on to start wars, for invasions, but also for things like bailouts. And those bailouts led to the creation of Bitcoin. Bitcoin, right? For those people that are new to Bitcoin, Bitcoin was created with the intention of being sound money, of limited supply, that's decentralized, but still valuable, and ultimately, to benefit the world, to create more economic freedom for the world and not destruction. So, Bitcoin and not bombs, that's what we say here. So that ties in, let's just talk about the kind of financial implications here. So the financial warfare element has come into play, and according to reports, the New York branch of the US Federal Reserve holds a large portion of the Afghanistan central bank assets, which will not be allowed back into the country. So a recent financial statement from Afghanistan central bank shows that they have assets held around 10 billion. These assets are under control of the Biden administration, and the Biden administration has basically said, any central bank assets the Afghan government has, we're not going to send them over because they're going to be used by the Taliban. So they've halted all shipments of US dollars into the country. They're freezing the assets that are held by the bank in New York. So, almost 10 billion in assets are inaccessible to the country now, according to the acting governor of the Afghanistan Central Bank, Amjad al-Mahdi. So al-Mahdi's fled Kabul. Obviously, it's sad. I do understand why the Biden administration are doing it, because you cannot let that money fall into the wrong hands, which it would if you continued shipping the money over to Kabul and over to Afghanistan. On the other hand, you've got the Afghanis who need money, they need infrastructure, they need support. Now more than ever, are not going to get access to that. And that's a real shame. So what do you think about what do you think about Afghanistan? What do you think about this whole situation? A lot of the crypto users say, if they had Ethereum or they had Bitcoin or they had Bitcoin Cash over there, these problems wouldn't have happened. And while I agree, Bitcoin is incredible, it's decentralizing money, it's empowering the people. Could it have prevented a situation like this? To be honest, I don't know. That's above my pay grade, but I'd love to hear your comments in the section below, so throw them down there. So let's move on to something a little funner, a little bit more financial markets related. Let's talk about the battle between Michael Burry and Cathie Wood. So Burry, if you've seen the movie The Big Short, you'll know exactly who he is, but he famously predicted in 2008 the subprime mortgage crisis, and he bet against shorted a lot of these subprime mortgage funds and made a huge amount of money. It's a tremendous story about how a very small time hedge fund saw something coming that no one else did. So he definitely has a lot of street cred and respect to him, but now he's betting against Cathie Wood's tech-focused ARK exchange traded fund. So let's jump into this in a little more detail here. I find this very fascinating. So CEO of ARK Investment, Cathie Wood, defended her optimistic view of the financial future Tuesday after it was revealed that Michael Burry is literally betting against the ARK Innovation Exchange Traded Fund via his hedge fund, Scion Asset Management. So Burry is the legendary investor, as I mentioned, who predicted the 2008 subprime mortgage crisis and was made famous by the Hollywood movie The Big Short. Burry doesn't think the market is going to do any favors for the tech-focused ARK ETF, as evidenced by put contracts against 235,500 shares of the fund revealed Monday in a regulatory filing. So that is about 30 to 31 million dollars betting against the failing of this ARK ETF. The filing also reveals Burry increased his bearish position against Tesla stock, increasing puts on Tesla from 800,000 to over 1 million in Tesla puts. So Burry sees inflation as a real threat and warned in June that investors could be facing the mother of all crashes by way of getting sucked into cryptocurrency and meme stocks. Wood took to Twitter to defend her ARK fund, saying the equity market is likely to reward disruptive innovation strategies once again when headline inflation breaks and or fears of recessions increase. So Woods emphasized the current innovation happening in tech cannot be compared to the dot-com bubble. So I'll throw the tweets up on screen here. It's super interesting to see someone like Cathie Wood, who is she's not reserved, she's quite outspoken, but she's always conservative. And I wouldn't say she's aggressive, you know. I'm for sure she's been criticized before because a lot of her fund is based around stocks like Tesla, Square. I know they've got a big Bitcoin holding. They, you know, hold Coinbase stock. So the fact that she has come out against Michael Burry, it's very much this clash of minds. Who's going to be right? Who's going to be wrong? I don't think anyone can really predict what the next 5 to 10 years looks like in the financial markets. Cathie Wood believes in the power of innovation and disruption, and the general disruption of markets through innovative technologies. And Burry, obviously, he's no slouch either. He really does his analysis and famously predicted the subprime mortgage crisis. So I don't know, it's very exciting to see Cathie Wood's coming out firing. Hopefully we'll have more to report on this story in the future. What do you think? Who's going to be right and why? Post it in the comment section below. So it's important to note here that Bitcoin.com news has been sharing ongoing coverage and insights in the past months about inflation, about the smoke and mirrors that appears to be destabling markets, you know, share buyback programs, Fed bucks buying up real estate, and unprecedented printing of money that have many concerned about the balloon. So make sure you have a look at the Bitcoin.com news stories on these items, and maybe you'll get an insight into where Michael Burry is coming from. So let's move on to something a little more relaxed, a little funner, and that is Mr. Elon Musk and Mark Cuban saying that Dogecoin is the strongest crypto when it comes to payments. Wow, okay. There's been a lot of developments around Dogecoin actually, and we're going to jump into some, and that is, you know, new video games, music festivals, and even fast food items. You can eat Dogecoin related stuff now. Believe it or not. Wow. So billionaire owner of the NBA Dallas Mavericks, Mr. Mark Cuban, and Elon Musk, everyone knows who Elon Musk is, I'm not going to go into that. They both agree that Doge is the best crypto for paying for goods and services. In an interview with CNBC Make It last Friday, Cuban said the community for Doge is the strongest when it comes to using it as a medium of exchange. You see, I don't know if it is. I don't know if they're aware of the strength of the Bitcoin Cash community. Elon Musk replied to community's commentary via Twitter, affirming, "I've been saying this for a while." So, yeah, I mean, no doubt Dogecoin does have a very strong, passionate community. I think they're more about the coin mooning. I think their whole goal is to get it to $1. I don't necessarily know if they're particularly passionate about using it for payments. I could be completely wrong. I think Elon Musk wants Dogecoin to be useful for payments. Anyway, so yeah, they have a super passionate crypto community, and they even sent the Jamaican bobsled team to the Winter Olympics all the way back in 2014. So what are some things that maybe are supporting Musk and Cuban's thesis as Doge, you know, being really strong for payments? Well, there's a game called Dogecoin Go, which is a new augmented reality app available for iOS based on the popular Pokemon Go game, where users can explore their surroundings and collect Dogecoin. We'll try and put a video up on screen now. Interesting, definitely interesting. I love to see development and adoption, but Dogecoin Go. Okay, so the next is Dogepalooza, a series of live music events set to kick off October 9th in Sugar Land, Texas, and will feature Grammy Award-winning headliner Dionne Warwick. Okay, that's cool. And finally, add to this quirky smorgasbord of Doge happenings, crypto-scented Doge can and male body spray from Axe, and Dogecoin branded hot dogs from Oscar Mayer, and even Dogecoin dog treats from Burger King. So to be honest, I don't know if Doge is the strongest form of cryptocurrency payment, but it's unarguable. But they have a very strong and passionate community of Doge supporters and users and hodlers. So if you're one of those, I'd love for you to post a comment on why why Dogecoin is the strongest form of cryptocurrency payment. You know, who knows? Maybe it will become the worldwide currency, #1 cryptocurrency, Dogecoin. I can't see that happening myself, but you know, it's being backed by some pretty big names right now. Finally, let's jump into our last story. So that's DEX Aggregator 1inch to utilize Ethereum scaling solution Optimism. So decentralized exchange 1inch has announced it will utilize the optimistic rollups layer 2 solution provided by a project called Optimism. The goal of the collaboration is to substantially increase transaction speeds and lower fees for 1inch users. So Ethereum is one of the blockchains that has been built on the most. It is probably the de facto go-to for smart contracts. And if you want to build any types of application, you are likely to be using it on Ethereum. There are lots of other, I would say, smart contract platforms that are doing great things, you know, Avalanche, Polkadot. There are several. Solana is one that a lot of people are talking about. However, Ethereum was the first and it is the most used. However, a big issue is the fees, because it doesn't really support, right? At least in its current form, doesn't support a huge volume of transaction throughput. So in this story, 1inch are utilizing optimistic rollups, right? Which is a layer 2 solution. And they're hoping that over time, as the efficiency of these kind of layer 2 solutions improve, it will reduce the fees. Now, obviously, now Ethereum are moving to a proof of stake, which should, in theory, catapult the transactions per second tenfold, 100-fold to at least 1,000 transactions per second once that's implemented later in the year. However, things like rollups are a really good way to address this problem. I've heard Vitalik talk about these. And simply put, rollups execute a transaction outside of the base layer, so layer 1, but they still post the transaction data on layer 1. So it then serves to validate the layer 2 transaction via smart contracts. Arbitrum and Optimism are currently the leading optimistic rollup projects. So DEX Aggregator 1inch, which if you use decentralized exchanges, 1inch is one of the better ones out there. You got Uniswap, SushiSwap are a couple big favorites on Ethereum as well. And they announced that they would be leveraging these optimistic rollups to increase the platform efficiency. So optimistic Ethereum is a highly promising L2 solution focused on scalability, and the 1inch launch on Optimism will facilitate a dramatic increase in transaction speed, said 1inch co-founder Sergey Kuntz in an announcement released Wednesday. So that's fantastic news. Congratulations to 1inch. I'm looking forward to see how this plays out and hopefully get those fees down and increase adoption and usability across Ethereum and really across the board for cryptocurrencies. So if you want to get started on cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, I highly recommend you check out the Bitcoin.com wallet, which recently integrated Ethereum. You can also store your Bitcoin, send your Bitcoin, store your Bitcoin Cash, send your Bitcoin Cash. You can send it via links. There's a lot of really interesting features and functionality. I know also there is a web app now as well, so you can use it on your phone and on your desktop computer or your MacBook or whatever you use. So go to wallet.bitcoin.com, get yourself a Bitcoin.com wallet. Remember, your keys, your coins, you control them. So that's all for the Bitcoin.com weekly show this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, please smash that thumbs up button. We're trying to grow this show. And also, if you've listened this far, we do have a podcast version of this show. And if you leave a 5-star review for us, we are going to automatically enter you for a contest to win some Bitcoin Cash. So make sure you leave your Bitcoin Cash address in there as well. So Afghanistan, really our hearts go out to the people there. Some sad news from the Middle East region. Michael Burry, Cathie Wood, who's going to come out on top in this instance? Dogecoin. Elon Musk still saying Dogecoin is the strongest, most powerful crypto for payments, and now backed by Mark Cuban. And Ethereum, more scaling solutions, more exciting things happening on that front. So that's all for today. I really hope to see you guys soon, and I'll see you next week.